All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power, and as always, I have a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. We're about 3.5 weeks out from the 2019 Mr. Olympia competition, and of course today we got a new video from Roelly Winklaar posted on Bader Budai's Instagram page. Now, we know this is a new video because Roelly has a different color hat on in this video. So that's how we know he's not wearing the red hat, so it's got to be a different video. So the main focus of this video to me seemed to be showing off his midsection control. Now, the videos that Roelly is most famous for posting are typically those crazy most muscular shots in front of this magic mirror in Kuwait, and he still hits one of those trademark most musculars. But to me, the main focus was his abs and his abdominal control and his ability to really suck in those abs very, very deeply, in particular when he puts his hands over his head and starts hitting abs and thighs type of poses. He almost kind of hits a vacuum pose at some points during this video, and I'm going to slow it all the way down for you guys so you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about here. There's definitely some points in the video where he hits some very, very deep ab shots, but I also noticed some points in the video where in the transitions while he's breathing, it almost looks like there's some distension in his midsection. So I think this is kind of a double-edged sword. While he is showing off his abdominal control in this video, and I think that was the main purpose of posting this video, was to show people that his midsection was going to be tight, I actually noticed some points in this video, and again, that's why I'm slowing it down all the way, where his midsection didn't look controlled during the parts where he was breathing. And that's what he struggled with in the past. Very rarely does a bodybuilder actually struggle with having a distended midsection in the mandatory poses. It's typically something that's mostly evident in the transitions. And in the past with Roelly Winklaar, that was the problem. It wasn't so much a problem of his gut spilling out in the actual mandatory poses, but in the transitions and in some of the side shots, his midsection really stuck out. So one of the things that these guys focus on when they're trying to bring their midsection in, whether it be wearing a waist trainer or whatever, is the ability to control and contract their midsection at all times while they're on stage, even during the transition. So in a very short posing clip like this, if you see some points where Roelly looks distended, that to me actually isn't a good sign. But then again, I think you could argue the same point that I argued yesterday for Brandon, is that Brandon has been posting a lot of updates, a lot of progress pictures, a lot of videos. He's been very, very active on social media, which to me says that Brandon is very, very confident in how he's looking and how his prep is going and that things are going the way he wants them to go. You could make that same argument for Roelly Winklaar, because I'd say next to Brandon, Roelly has posted quite a bit of updates going into this year's Olympia. Even though they're spaced out a little bit further, it appears that Roelly is very, very confident in how his prep is going and how his physique is looking. Now, I think another interesting point here would be that Roelly very rarely posts these updates on his own Instagram page. It's typically a coach of his or somebody at Oxygen Gym that actually ends up leaking these videos. So that's another interesting thing to point out here, is that typically Roelly's not the one posting these videos. So for whatever reason, whether that's part of his deal with Oxygen Gym is that he lets them post it on their social media so they get the views because he knows it's going to go viral. Whatever the case may be, Roelly very rarely posts his own pictures. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about this most recent video of Roelly Winklaar. How do you think he looks? Do you think he looks good? Do you think he looks bad? Do you think he's going to have a distended midsection on stage? Keep in mind, Roelly Winklaar was top 3 at last year's Mr. Olympia. Roelly Winklaar was also the People's Champ, or the People's Choice Award, whatever they called that title, at last year's Olympia. So Roelly Winklaar, you can make a strong argument that he's a favorite at this year's Mr. Olympia. A lot of people in my comment section seem to think he's the guy that's going to win. I do think it's important to keep in mind that at his last Arnold Classic Columbus, Ohio showing, he did lose to Brandon Curry. He did lose to William Bonac. Hell, he placed behind Luke Sando, too, at the Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio. So I think that's important to consider. That show was a lot more recent than the 2019 Mr. Olympia. So I think that's just important to point that out. But hey, it's the most wonderful time of the year, man. There's not a better time in bodybuilding than Olympia season. Right when we're gearing up for the Olympia, those weeks before the Olympia, interest in bodybuilding is at its all-time high, and I love it, and I love being a part of it, and I love being a part of the conversation. I absolutely love this time of year. All right, so this next story, and I actually find this extremely interesting, and I saw this on my buddy Mark Lobliner's channel. So Ultimate Nutrition, which was a very, very big supplement company, a very big name in the industry. I remember back at one point, they even had at their booth at the Arnold Classic, I think it was a couple years ago, maybe 2016, I want to say, at their booth, they had both Dexter Jackson and Phil Heath working their booth. And I believe that was the year when they were charging for like a VIP pass to get in this line to meet Dexter Jackson and Phil Heath and get a picture or an autograph or whatever if you paid $50 or whatever it was. So the story is pretty interesting because people don't really know what's going on right now with Ultimate Nutrition, if they're shutting down or what. So the story is, this is picked up by several different news channels, that they just left a note on their door, on the door of their offices, and it says, "Please read. If you're reading this, please be informed that your employment has been terminated effective August 17th, 2019. A packet of information will be sent to your mailing address within the next few days. If you do not receive the packet or have any questions, you can contact us by writing to us at P.O. Box 643, Farmington, Connecticut, and it has the zip code there. If you have any company property, please mail it back to P.O. Box 643, Farmington, Connecticut. We wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors." So this apparently pissed a lot of people off because dozens of employees found out that they were out of a job through this random note on the door of Ultimate Nutrition. Now, most of the articles that were picked up by news sites here say a lot of these former employees tried to reach out to the owners, tried to reach out to human resources, and they were saying the emails have been shut off and they're hearing nothing back. And they were also saying there's a sign on the door that also said to immediately get off the private property of Ultimate Nutrition to avoid trespassing charges. And I think the thing that's interesting here, number one, it's a pretty crappy way to let people go. But number two, all of the employees that were let go said they were totally blindsided and totally in shock because they hadn't seen any signs whatsoever that pointed to the business being in trouble. They said there were no missing paychecks, and the business seemed to be remaining pretty steady. And there was no indicators that anything was going south or that any of these people would be let go or out of a job. It was just a sudden, immediate, and very random note on the door when they showed up for work that Monday, this past Monday. And then the article also went on to say that most of these news channels that were contacted by the employees looking for answers tried to contact Ultimate Nutrition both in person and phone calls and emails, and nobody has really heard anything back from Ultimate or gotten any kind of response or answers really to what the deal is or why this happened. And these news channels also reported that Ultimate does employ somewhere between 100 and 150 employees between the three different locations that they do have. I believe it even said some of the employees had been with this company for 2 decades or longer and had received no warning, no type of notice, and just got this note on the door saying, you're out of a job. So definitely sucks for these people that were involved. I definitely hope, whatever the reason was, that Ultimate gives some kind of, reasoning or explanation or compensation to these people that were let go without any type of notice whatsoever besides a note on the door. Now, the final story that I have for you guys today is about Chris Bumstead, and it's kind of an unfortunate story because just yesterday, I was talking about in my video how good Chris has been looking lately, how smoothly his prep looks to have been going, and talking about Chris's chances of finally winning the Classic Physique Olympia after knocking on the door and taking second the past 2 years, taking second last year by just 1 point, even though he was apparently, pretty off at that show compared to the year prior. But apparently Chris posted on his YouTube channel and mentioned in a video that he tore his hamstring at just under 4 weeks out from the 2019 Mr. Olympia. Now, apparently it is a very slight hamstring tear, and he's still able to train, and he is still able to compete in the Olympia. Apparently this happened while doing straight-legged deadlifts. So the question is how much is this going to set Chris back, if at all? Again, it appears to be very slight. Chris is going to just work through it and still continue his prep as usual and compete as usual. But is this something that Chris is going to have trouble with or is going to hold him back, especially when you have a champ like Breon with incredible leg separation and detail? Could this be something that really prevents him from overcoming Breon? So that wraps it up for the video today, guys. I want to remind you guys again to buy your tickets for the 2019 Mr. Olympia. They're already sold out of the VIP packages, and the majority of tickets are sold in just the 3 weeks prior to the Olympia. So they will be selling out fast, so make sure you get some tickets if you're planning on being in Vegas. Again, I will be at the Olympia. I'll have my own booth. I'm just going to go there to meet you guys. I'm not going to try to sell anything. just want to, meet some of the people that watch my videos and have some conversation with you guys. So I'm really looking forward to that. My booth will be at the very back of the expo hall, right in front of the expo stage, where the prejudging for many of these divisions will be held. So if you want to stop by, say hi, please do that. Again, if you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram handle is @NicksStrengthPower. I'm going to be trying to live stream as much as I possibly can at the Olympia on Instagram. So if you want that live stream coverage, make sure you follow me on my Instagram page. Make sure you subscribe to this channel for more Olympia updates if you have not subscribed already. And as always, please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.